Hello, and welcome to Introduction to Forensic Science at Middlesex Community College. I'm your instructor, Rhiannon Robinson. I very much look forward to working with you this semester, albeit remotely. As this is an entirely online course, it is essential that you are able to adeptly navigate this course's Blackboard course shell. Follow along as you watch the video to get a feel for how this course is set up. You may want to open this video in another browser so that you don't accidentally lose your place while you click around. As you've figured out by now, all the major components of this course can be found in the left-hand toolbar. Announcements, syllabus and FAQ, module content, lab content, exams and Respondus Lockdown browser, discussion board, and Zoom. You can also see your grades using the link here. I'll go through each of these links one by one. When you open this course each time from the main Blackboard site, you will be by default taken to the announcements page. You can also click on the announcements link to get to this page. Here, you'll find anything that I've posted for the class to read before they start any more work. I might post about new assignments coming up, changes to the schedule, notifications of broken applications or fixes, information that I get from faculty, emails that are relevant to you, etc. You need to log into this course at least once per weekday to check for announcements. The next link in the left-hand toolbar takes you to the syllabus. All the syllabus content can be found in the link enclosed here, and any updates made to the syllabus will be reflected by a new dated submission. I'll click on this and you can see it opens a new window, and here is the entire syllabus. I'll be walking you through the syllabus on the first Wednesday of this semester for those of you who can attend. This is not a mandatory session. Moving down the left-hand toolbar, you'll see a link for module content. This is where you'll spend overwhelmingly the most time and includes the content that you need from week to week. A module is a collection of writings, videos, lectures, etc. that effectively takes the place of a traditional lecture. Content will appear in the order in which you should complete them. Links to discussion boards will usually be towards the end of the module and will ask you to reflect on some portion of that module's topics. It may, for example, ask you to discuss nuances or address gray areas. It might ask you ethical questions. It might ask you to marry things you learned in one module with things you learned into old modules, etc. As you can see, this week's module folder is open now, and each week's worth of work will automatically be displayed to you weekly. Discussion board assignments typically require students to post an original thought and reply to someone else's thought. For this reason, discussion boards are not eligible for late submission. In other words, you must do the discussion board write-up in the week in which it is issued. Quizzes, exams, and lab work can all be submitted up to 1 week late for half credit. Once that half credit deadline is passed, gradable assignments will disappear entirely from view, though the learning content will always remain available to you. Let me go back here. At the bottom of each module is a link to the lab content for the same week. These are called lab links. Clicking on a lab link will take you to the item due that week in lab as it appears over here in the lab content folder. In other words, your lab is cross-posted to the week in which it is due, and you have two ways to find a lab you're looking for: by the name of the lab under the lab content folder, or by looking at the relevant week. You're free to complete your lab first or the module lecture content first, though most of you will understand the point of the lab better if you do the module work first. Let's look a little more closely at this first lab. Moving back to the left-hand toolbar links, lab content contains exactly that: links to lab activities and the places where you submit your work. During the very first week of class, you're required to order an eScience lab kit and submit proof that you've done so. Instructions for how to do this are provided at the very top of the lab content page. Now, let's take a look at the lab content folder. Here, you'll find a link to the lab activity due that week. The first one also has a set of instructions for how to do the labs. But here's your first lab activity due that week. Usually, this will take you to an eScience Labs activity in a new browser window, but there's a couple of exceptions. Follow the instructions written out for you in the lab content folder and submit your work as directed. Submit your work here, submit your work here. The last thing in your lab folder is a module link that takes you to the content that you may want to refer to if you're confused about the supporting content. This does not necessarily link you to the same module of that week, since labs are not strictly offered in the same order as the lectures. It takes you to the lesson that corresponds with the lab material, even if the lab and the lesson are in different weeks. Let's move on to the Exams and Respondus Lockdown browser link here at left. The first thing you'll be shown takes you to where to download Respondus. The second link is for a practice test to see if your Respondus browser works on your computer. Follow the instructions in that link and attempt to take the test during the first week of class. As exams come available, they'll also be posted here and will automatically disappear after their deadline. You can take the practice tests whenever you want to reassure yourself that you can take the exam successfully. It's important to know that exams absolutely may not be taken without the Respondus Lockdown browser. Respondus works really well on nearly all computer systems, but it doesn't work on Chromebooks and it doesn't work on cell phones, although iPads and tablets are fine. If you need to make arrangements to use on-campus technology to accommodate this, please contact the IT Help Desk immediately. Exams are also posted under module content for ease of access, and they will also appear and disappear as they become available and unavailable. The discussion board link at left will show you a list of all discussion boards available up to that point in the semester. These will also be cross-referenced in the module content folder. As you can see, so far everything listed out at left is cross-referenced somewhere in the module content folder, and therefore there's two ways of finding just about anything. Zoom is a web conferencing service available through Middlesex Community College, and we'll mostly use this to communicate face-to-face. You'll use it for optional office hours, as well as one-on-one individually scheduled meetings. So you can see our first optional syllabus review has already been scheduled. Any upcoming meetings, so further exam review sessions, which are also optional, will be posted here, as will one-on-one face-to-face meetings if you and I make a specific appointment. Finally, My Grades will take you to a list of all work that you could have completed up to that point, as well as the points you earned for it. Your grade is automatically calculated as you go, and no scaling or curving is done after the fact. The grade you see is the grade you would get, provided that I'm up to date on my own grading. That more or less wraps up the tour. It's a lot to take in at once, but I trust that you'll quickly get the hang of it as you work through the course. And, as always, you can reach out to me anytime for help if you're still feeling a bit lost. Good luck and happy studying.